Captain Olivia Martinez stood at the window of Earth Defense Command, her eyes fixed on the giant alien ship that had appeared in Earth's orbit without warning. The ship was huge, over 10 miles long with a shiny metal hull. It made Earth's biggest ships look like toys. "What is that thing?" she asked, keeping her voice calm even though her heart was racing. Admiral Paul Jackson walked up beside her. His old, lined face looked worried. "It's aliens, Captain. First contact. They're sending messages on all radio channels. They call themselves the Galactic Imperial Union, a group of over 500 alien species from 3 galaxies." The big screen on the wall turned on. It showed a tall, blue-skinned alien with 6 golden eyes stacked in a line down its face. The alien wore a fancy silver uniform covered with strange symbols. "People of Earth," the alien said in a voice that sounded almost human, "I am High Emissary Zorthul of the Galactic Imperial Union. We have been watching your world. We have decided you are ready to join our empire. This is a great honor for your species." Olivia looked at the Admiral. Something about the aliens' tone made her stomach feel tight. "What exactly does joining your empire mean?" she asked. The alien blinked its 6 eyes one after another. "Standard procedure. Your leaders will give up control to an imperial overseer. Your armies will be replaced with our peacekeepers. Your resources will be counted and taken for imperial needs. Your people will be registered and given proper work assignments." The room went silent. Olivia felt like ice water was running through her veins. "And what if we say no?" Admiral Jackson asked. The alien's face didn't change, but the room seemed to get colder. "Saying no is not allowed in our system. The process will begin in 48 Earth hours. Get your people ready." The screen went black. President Gregory Howard had been watching quietly from the side of the room. Now he stepped forward, his face hard with determination. "Get me every world leader on a secure line, right now." In just a few hours, the United Earth Council gathered for an emergency meeting. Leaders from every country appeared on screens around the round meeting room. Reports were coming in from telescopes all over the world. More alien ships had been spotted at the edge of our solar system, moving into attack positions. "They've done this before," said Dr. Kelly Wright, the head scientist studying alien life. She showed pictures of distant star systems. "Our telescopes have seen planets stripped of resources and people enslaved. This joining the empire talk is just a nice way of saying they want to take over our world." President Howard nodded grimly. "Then we know what we must do. We will not let Earth become just another conquered planet. We will not let our people become slaves." The council broke into loud debate. Some wanted to try talking with the aliens. Others wanted to attack right away. But deep down, everyone knew there was only one answer they could give. 2 days later, Olivia stood with Admiral Jackson and President Howard as Earth gave its answer. On the big screen was High Emissary Zorthul with several alien military officers. "We have heard your terms," President Howard said calmly, "and we have made our decision. Earth says no to joining your empire. More than that, we are banning all imperial ships from our solar system. You are not welcome here." The alien's 6 eyes widened in what looked like shock. "This answer is unheard of and unacceptable. Perhaps you don't understand what will happen if you refuse." "We understand perfectly," the president cut in. "And our answer stays the same. You are not welcome here. Leave our system now." "You cannot ban an empire that spans 3 galaxies," Zorthul said, his voice turning dangerous. "We have conquered civilizations much more advanced than yours. You have no weapons that can stand against our technology." Admiral Jackson stepped forward. "Maybe so, but we will fight with everything we have. For every mountain, every ocean, every city and village, we will make you pay for every inch of our world. And even if you win, you'll find nothing left worth taking." "You have 24 hours to change your minds," the alien said coldly. "After that, we will begin forcing your planet to submit." When the call ended, Olivia looked out at the stars, wondering if these would be humanity's last hours of freedom. "They've never been told no before," she said suddenly. Did you see how they reacted? They really didn't expect us to refuse. That might be our only advantage, President Howard said quietly. Now, let's make sure it's not our last. Around the world, people looked up at the sky with fear and determination. News of the alien ultimatum had spread quickly. In cities, towns, and villages, humans prepared for a fight they might not win. Families huddled together watching emergency broadcasts. Military bases buzzed with activity as soldiers prepared weapons that might be useless against the advanced alien technology. In his private office, President Howard studied the latest defense plans. "What are our real chances?" he asked Admiral Jackson. "Honestly, not good," the Admiral replied. "Their ships have technology we can't even understand, but that doesn't mean we roll over and die." Olivia entered with new reports. "Sir, our satellites have detected energy readings from the alien fleet. They're moving ships into position around our planet." The President nodded. "Begin evacuation to the underground shelters and launch Operation Last Stand." Operation Last Stand was humanity's desperate gamble. For years, scientists had been developing experimental weapons in secret facilities around the world. None had been tested in actual combat. None might work, but they were all Earth had. In a military base under the Rocky Mountains, Dr. Frank Walsh activated the prototype gravity weapon. "If this works, it might disrupt their ship engines," he explained to the soldiers. "If it doesn't, well, we tried." Across the world, similar scenes played out as humanity's best minds worked frantically to find some weakness in the alien armada. As night fell over the command center, Olivia found a quiet moment to call her parents. "Mom, Dad, get to the shelter in Denver," she said, trying to keep her voice steady. "I don't know what's coming, but I want you safe." "We're already on our way," her father answered. "Olivia, we're proud of you. Whatever happens tomorrow." After the call ended, Olivia wiped away a tear and returned to the command center. The room was tense but focused as staff prepared for Earth's final stand. 20 minutes until their deadline, Admiral Jackson announced. President Howard straightened his tie and faced the main screen. "Open the channel. One last try." The alien emissary appeared, looking impatient. "Have you reconsidered your foolish position?" "We have," President Howard replied, "and we stand by our answer. You are not welcome here. Not now. Not ever." As the screen went dark, Olivia squared her shoulders and prepared for the fight of humanity's life. Tomorrow would determine if Earth remained free or became just another conquered world in the vast galactic empire. The clock ticked down to 0. The 24-hour deadline was over. Earth didn't change its mind. Instead, Earth got ready to fight. Deep under the Rocky Mountains in a big bunker, Lieutenant Sam Cooper watched Earth's defenses being set up. From the outside, it might have looked hopeless. Earth's best technology was hundreds of years behind the alien ships. But humans have always been good at finding ways to survive when cornered. "All satellites are working," Sam said, looking at the 3D map floating in the middle of the room. "Defense platforms are ready," Olivia nodded. "And what about Project Slingshot?" "The engineers say it's 97% ready. They're still fixing the targeting systems, but it will work when we need it." Project Slingshot was Earth's secret weapon. It had been built over the last 10 years to protect Earth from asteroids. Now this network of powerful launchers placed throughout the solar system would be used for a different purpose. Admiral Jackson walked into the command center, looking tired but determined. "The alien fleet is moving. 17 big ships coming from different directions. They'll reach Earth orbit in 30 minutes. President Howard, who refused to be taken to safety, stood watching the 3D map with a serious face. "Send them one last message." Olivia nodded to the communications officer, who opened a channel to the lead alien ship. The face of High Emissary Zorthul appeared on the main screen, looking down at them. "Your time is up," the alien said flatly. "Your continued refusal is noted. We will now begin taking over your planet." "Before you start," President Howard said, stepping forward, "I want to make something clear. We have marked a line at the moon's orbit. Cross that line and we will consider it an act of war. This is your final warning. Earth is off limits to your empire. The alien seemed almost amused. You draw lines in empty space and expect us to respect them? Your arrogance is amazing for such a primitive species. The screen went black. They're speeding up, Sam reported, watching the map as the alien ships moved forward. They'll reach the moon's orbit in 12 minutes. Olivia felt strangely calm. Tell all defense stations to get ready. They can fire as soon as the aliens cross our line. The minutes passed slowly. Throughout the command center, men and women watched their screens with grim faces. They all knew the odds were bad. Common sense said humans couldn't possibly win against an empire with technology this advanced. But common sense never counted on human stubbornness. 5 alien ships have crossed the moon's orbit, Sam suddenly announced. They're sending out smaller ships, probably carrying soldiers and weapons. Admiral Jackson nodded to Olivia. Captain Martinez, you're in charge of the attack. Show them what happens when they ignore Earth's warnings. Olivia stepped to the main control panel and took a deep breath. Start Project Slingshot. Target the ships that crossed our line first. Then target any ships that try to replace them. All across the solar system, huge electromagnetic launchers that had been disguised as mining operations or science stations suddenly turned toward their targets. Giant metal slugs were loaded into launch tubes. They didn't need explosives. At these speeds, the metal itself would cause massive damage. Slingshot is ready, Sam confirmed. First attack launching in 3, 2, 1. From bases on Mars, the Moon, and various asteroids, hundreds of metal slugs shot forward at incredible speeds. The alien ships, not worried about such simple weapons, didn't try to dodge. That was their big mistake. The impacts were devastating. The projectiles, moving at nearly the speed of light, tore through the supposedly impenetrable shields of the alien ships like they were made of paper. 3 ships were hit directly, breaking apart in huge explosions that briefly shone brighter than the sun. In the command center, people cheered, but quickly returned to their work. This was just the beginning. They're regrouping, Sam reported. The remaining ships are moving back beyond the moon's orbit. The map showed the alien fleet reforming, their previous attack formation now changing to a more careful approach. A message request flashed on the main screen. Put them through, Olivia ordered. High Emissary Zorthul appeared, looking shaken. Behind him, alien officers rushed around in what looked like panic. This unprovoked attack will not be tolerated, the emissary declared, though his voice lacked its previous confidence. You have destroyed Imperial ships, an act that demands immediate revenge. Unprovoked? President Howard stepped forward, his voice calm but intense. You crossed a clearly marked line after being warned what would happen. This wasn't an attack, emissary. This was defense. You cannot hope to defeat the full power of the Imperial Union, Zorthul insisted. What you've seen is only a small part of our strength. Then send more ships, Admiral Jackson said, joining the president. We'll add them to the junkyard. For a moment, the emissary seemed unable to speak. Clearly, no one had ever fought back like this before. Finally, he spoke with cold anger. This discussion is over. Prepare for the consequences of your actions. As the screen went dark, the map showed the alien fleet pulling back even further, moving to a position beyond Mars's orbit. They're calling for help, Sam observed, listening to their communications. Big energy readings detected. They're opening some kind of faster-than-light communication portal. How long until more alien ships could get here? Olivia asked. Admiral. Jackson talked with the science officers. Based on what we've seen of their technology, anywhere from 12 to 72 hours. It depends on where their nearest big fleet is located. President Howard's face was serious but determined. Then we have some time. We've shown them we're not defenseless. Now we need to show them we're not worth the cost. Sir? Olivia asked. They're an empire, Captain. Empires don't conquer out of anger. They conquer for resources, for strategic advantage, for profit. If we can make Earth too expensive to take, they might decide we're not worth the trouble. Admiral Jackson nodded slowly. Economic warfare. I like it. As the command staff began making new plans, Olivia found herself staring at the map, watching the alien ships waiting at the edge of their solar system like wolves waiting for a chance to attack. They had won the first fight, but the real battle was just beginning. Around the world, news of the victory spread quickly. People who had been hiding in shelters came out to look at the sky. For the first time since the aliens arrived, there was hope. In town squares and city centers, crowds gathered around screens showing the destroyed alien ships. "We actually hurt them," a man in New York said in amazement as he watched the footage. "They're not invincible." In London, Paris, Tokyo, and thousands of other cities, the mood was the same. Cautious hope mixed with fierce pride. Humanity had stood up to the bullies of the galaxy and landed the first punch. But in the command bunker, the mood was more serious. The victory was important, but everyone knew what would come next. "They'll be back with more ships," Admiral Jackson told his officers, "and they'll be angry. We need to be ready." Scientists and engineers worked around the clock to improve Earth's defenses. Project Slingshot had worked better than anyone expected, but it needed to be reloaded and expanded. Every minute counted. Sam brought Olivia a cup of coffee as she studied the latest intelligence reports. "The aliens are still beyond Mars," he said. "No movement yet." "They're planning something," Olivia replied, taking a sip of the hot coffee. "They won't just give up and go home." "Do you think we can win this?" Sam asked quietly. Olivia looked at him for a long moment. "Win? I don't know. Survive? Yes. Humans are stubborn that way. In space, silent and cold, pieces of the destroyed alien ships drifted in orbit around the moon. They were a warning, a line drawn in the stars. Earth would not surrender, would not be conquered. Any empire that wanted this blue world would have to pay a price in blood, and humans would make sure that price was too high for any empire to pay. 3 days passed. The skies above Earth stayed clear of alien ships, but everyone remained tense. Global defense forces stayed on high alert while Project Slingshot was improved and expanded. People had moved to underground shelters, turning Earth's surface into a fortress planet. In the command bunker, Olivia studied the latest reports. The reinforcements had arrived, a massive alien armada that made the first group look small. Over 100 big ships now waited beyond Mars, along with countless smaller vessels. "They could overwhelm our defenses just by using so many ships at once," she said with worry. Admiral Jackson nodded. "That's always been their advantage. But they haven't moved yet. They're being careful now, studying us." President Howard walked into the command center with Dr. Heather Freeman, the brilliant scientist who had designed much of Project Slingshot. "We've caught and partly decoded their messages," Dr. Freeman announced, showing a display of data streams. "They're having a big argument about what to do next." "An argument?" Olivia asked, surprised. "I thought the Empire just gave orders." "Apparently, we've caused quite a stir," Dr. Freeman explained with a small smile. "The destruction of those first ships was seen by their entire command. We weren't supposed to be able to do that. Now they're fighting about the right response." "President," Howard nodded. "This confirms our theory. They're doing a cost-benefit analysis. We need to make sure the cost side of that equation keeps growing." "We've prepared a demonstration," Dr. Freeman said, pointing to the display. "With your permission, Admiral?" Jackson studied the proposed plan briefly, before giving a short nod. "Do it." Hours later, the alien fleet detected unusual activity from Earth's direction. A single, unarmed transport ship came out from behind the moon, broadcasting a message to all the alien ships. "This is Dr. Heather Freeman of Earth," the message began. "We understand you're debating whether to continue your invasion. To help you decide, we've prepared a small demonstration of Earth's defensive capabilities." The transport ship released a tiny probe, just a small metal ball barely visible on alien sensors. Then the transport quickly went back toward Earth. In the alien command ship, High Emissary Zorthul watched with mild curiosity. "What is this primitive display supposed to accomplish?" he asked his officers. Before anyone could answer, the small probe exploded. What happened next confused the aliens completely. Space itself seemed to bend and twist around the explosion point, creating a rapidly growing sphere of distortion. When it reached the nearest alien scout ship, the vessel simply disappeared, its atoms seemingly pulled apart. The distortion continued growing for several seconds before collapsing back on itself and vanishing. In the stunned silence that followed, the message from Earth continued. What you just saw was a controlled demonstration of our space-time manipulation technology. The effect was deliberately limited in size. At full power, we estimate it could destabilize matter across a distance of approximately 100 million miles. The message ended, leaving the alien fleet in chaos. While their sensors tried and failed to explain what they had just seen, Earth's defenders watched from their bunker with grim satisfaction. Did it work? President Howard asked, looking at the display. Dr. Freeman nodded, checking her instruments. The holographic projectors worked perfectly. From their view, their scout ship was completely destroyed by unknown technology. What the alien fleet had seen was, in fact, a clever trick. The scout ship had been a holographic image created by Earth's advanced projection systems, and the destruction had been similarly faked. But the aliens had no way of knowing that. They're pulling back, Olivia observed as the display showed, the alien fleet retreating to a position beyond Neptune's orbit, and their communications have increased a lot. Calling home for instructions, Admiral Jackson suggested. They're out of their depth now. The response came 12 hours later. A single alien vessel, much smaller than the massive warships, but still impressive by human standards, approached the lunar boundary asking for a meeting. In the empty space between Earth and its moon, representatives of both sides met aboard a quickly built space station. President Howard insisted on going personally, accompanied by Admiral Jackson, Captain Martinez, and Dr. Freeman. The alien delegation was led by a new figure, not the High Emissary, but a senior diplomat introduced as Grand Arbiter Kel Voss. The Galactic Imperial Union acknowledges Earth's unexpected defensive capabilities, the Grand Arbiter began, speaking in a tone that suggested this admission was extremely rare. In light of these developments, we are prepared to discuss alternatives to standard integration protocols. President Howard's face remained neutral. There are no alternatives to discuss, Grand Arbiter. Our position hasn't changed. Earth and its solar system are off limits to the Imperial Union. Period. The alien diplomat's face twitched in what might have been irritation. You misunderstand your position. The Empire does not retreat. It does not abandon its objectives. We are merely offering you more favorable terms. And you misunderstand our resolve, Olivia cut in. We demonstrated only a fraction of our defensive capabilities. We have no desire for conflict, but we will defend our home at any cost. The Grand Arbiter studied each human face carefully before speaking again. In all the Empire's history, spanning millions of years and hundreds of thousands of worlds, no species has ever successfully resisted integration. What makes humans believe they can be the first? Dr. Freeman smiled slightly. Because we have something worth fighting for. For several long moments, silence filled the room. Finally, the Grand Arbiter made a gesture that caused his assistants to look at each other in apparent surprise. Very well, the alien diplomat said. I am authorized to propose a compromise. The Galactic Imperial Union will designate the Sol system as a sovereign territory, exempt from integration protocols. In exchange, humans will agree not to expand beyond their current system for a period of 500 years. Admiral Jackson leaned forward. And what happens after 500 years? The agreement would be renegotiated based on circumstances at that time. The human delegation exchanged glances. It was better than they had hoped for, but still problematic. We cannot accept limitations on our future development, President Howard stated firmly. However, we are willing to establish diplomatic relations with the Empire on the basis of mutual respect and non-interference. Earth will not threaten Imperial territories, and the Empire will recognize Earth's sovereignty, not just now, but permanently. The negotiations continued for hours, with both sides making concessions and establishing boundaries. By the time they concluded, a tentative agreement had been reached. Earth would remain independent, free to develop as it chose, while establishing formal diplomatic ties with the Galactic Imperial Union as a sovereign power, not a subject world. As the alien delegation prepared to leave, Grand Arbiter Kelvos approached Olivia privately. "You should know," the alien said in a lower voice, "that many in the Empire will not be pleased with this outcome. Some may try to revisit the matter in unauthorized ways." Olivia met the alien's gaze steadily. "Then they'll discover that our warnings weren't exaggerated. Earth doesn't make empty threats." The Grand Arbiter made a gesture that might have been respect. "The Empire has existed for thousands of years because it recognizes strength when it encounters it. Today, humanity has earned something few species ever achieve: the Empire's respect." As the alien diplomat departed, Olivia rejoined her colleagues. The journey back to Earth was filled with cautious optimism, but also awareness that this was just the beginning of humanity's role on a much larger stage. News of the agreement spread across Earth. People came out of the shelters looking up at the stars with new understanding. They were no longer alone in the universe, and they had proven they belonged there. In cities around the world, celebrations broke out. After facing extinction, humanity had not only survived, but had forced one of the most powerful empires in the galaxy to treat them as equals. Admiral Jackson found Olivia watching the celebrations from a window in the command center. "They're calling it Independence Day," he said. "Not just for a nation, but for our entire species." Olivia nodded. "We got lucky this time. The Empire didn't expect resistance. They won't make that mistake again." "No," the Admiral agreed. "But neither will we. Project Slingshot was just the beginning. Now that we know what's out there, we can prepare properly." President Howard joined them, looking tired but satisfied. The Grand Arbiter is already on his way back to their capital. Meanwhile, we have work to do. The Empire may have recognized us today, but tomorrow we need to make sure they continue to respect us. As night fell over Earth, people looked up at the stars with new eyes. The universe had just become much bigger, much more dangerous, but also filled with new possibilities. Humanity had claimed its place among the stars, not through conquest or submission, but through the simple, powerful declaration, "You are not welcome here." It was only the beginning. 1 year after Earth's meeting with the Galactic Imperial Union, the solar system looked very different. Defense platforms circled every major planet. The asteroid belt had been turned into a network of watching stations and factories. Project Slingshot had grown into a complete defense grid that could target any unwelcome visitor with deadly accuracy. But more importantly, humans had changed. In the diplomatic area of New Geneva, Admiral Olivia Martinez, she had been promoted, walked through the newly built Galactic Embassy complex. The huge building housed representatives from not only the Imperial Union, but also a dozen other space-traveling powers that had quickly set up relations with Earth after news of its defiance spread throughout the galaxy. "Quite a change from last year," said Sam Cooper, now a commander, as he walked beside her. "Remember when we thought we might spend the rest of our lives hiding underground?" Olivia smiled slightly. "I never doubted we would win." "Of course not, Admiral," Sam replied with a knowing grin. They entered the central round hall where President Howard was finishing a meeting with representatives from the Andromeda Coalition, a loose group of independent worlds that existed on the edges of Imperial space. "The information is confirmed," the President was saying as they approached. "Imperial forces are indeed pulling back from the areas next to your territories. It seems our little demonstration had bigger effects than we expected." The Andromedan representative, a crystal-like being that communicated through patterns of light, pulsed with what seemed to be happiness. "For generations, the Empire has expanded without challenge. Your defiance has inspired others. Many worlds now question whether continued control is unavoidable." As the meeting ended, President Howard motioned for Olivia and Sam to join him in a private room overlooking Earth's shining capital city. "The balance of power is changing," he said without introduction. "For ages, the Imperial Union ruled through fear and better technology, but they grew lazy. They forgot that determination can overcome technology, that freedom is worth fighting for. And now? Olivia asked. Now we have an opportunity and a responsibility, the president replied. The Andromedan Coalition has proposed a defense agreement. Other independent systems are making similar offers. Sam looked worried. Are we ready to take on that kind of role? We're still newcomers to the galactic stage. We don't have much choice, Olivia noted. The Empire has backed off for now, but they won't forget. Sooner or later, they'll test us again. We need allies as much as these other worlds do. President Howard nodded. Exactly. And there's something else you should see. He activated a holographic display showing a distant star system. This was sent by one of our deep space probes yesterday. It's a human colony, set up nearly 200 years ago by a generation ship that left Earth before we had faster-than-light travel. Olivia and Sam stared at the images in shock. The colony world looked well-developed, with cities visible even from orbit. We had no idea they'd survived, Sam whispered. Neither did they. About us, the president explained. They've been completely cut off, developing on their own. And according to the probe scans, the Empire has already made contact with them. Olivia felt a chill run down her spine. They won't know what they're dealing with. They'll have no reason not to trust the Empire's offers. Exactly, President Howard confirmed grimly, which is why I've authorized the launch of our first interstellar mission. The UES Defiance will leave next week, carrying diplomatic and military advisors. Admiral Martinez, you'll be in command. Olivia straightened, feeling the weight of the responsibility. We'll reach them in time, sir. This is just the beginning, the president continued, looking out at the horizon where the sun was setting. Humanity has announced its presence to the galaxy in a way no one expected. We've drawn a line and declared that freedom is non-negotiable. Now we need to help others do the same. As preparations for the mission began, word spread throughout Earth's cities. Volunteers flooded recruitment centers, eager to join the first human expedition beyond the solar system. Scientists worked day and night, improving the technologies they had developed during the Imperial standoff. And in diplomatic rooms, alliances were formed with other freedom-loving species. The night before the Defiance was scheduled to leave, Olivia stood on the observation deck of the orbital shipyard, watching as final preparations were made to the massive ship that would carry humanity's message to the stars. Dr. Freeman joined her, looking at the ship with pride. You know, when we tricked the Empire with that holographic demonstration, I never imagined where it would lead. Sometimes a good trick is all you need, Olivia replied. They were so convinced of their superiority that they never questioned whether we were showing our real capabilities. And now we're making the trick a reality, Olivia said, pointing to the advanced weapon systems being installed on the Defiance. By the time the Empire realizes how much we've advanced, it'll be too late. We'll have formed a group strong enough to challenge their control. As the sun rose over Earth, casting golden light across the continents below, Olivia thought about how quickly everything had changed. Just over a year ago, humanity had faced extinction or slavery. Now they were taking their first steps as a galactic power, not through conquest or bullying, but by standing firm against tyranny. The Defiance was almost ready to go, carrying, with it, Earth's most powerful message to the stars. Freedom was not negotiable, independence was worth fighting for, and anyone who threatened those principles would find that humans were indeed the most dangerous species in the galaxy, not because of their technology or their numbers, but because of their unbreakable spirit. On launch day, thousands gathered to watch as the Defiance prepared to leave Earth orbit. The ship gleamed in the sunlight, its smooth hull covered with Earth's new flag, a blue planet with a protective shield around it, symbolizing humanity's determination to defend its home. All systems check out, Sam reported from his station, on the bridge. We're ready for departure, Admiral. Olivia sat in the command chair, looking at her crew with pride. They were the best Earth had to offer. Scientists, diplomats, soldiers, all united in their mission to protect a human colony that didn't even know it needed protection. Send a message to Earth Command, Olivia ordered. The Defiance is ready. To depart? President Howard's face appeared on the main screen. Admiral Martinez, you carry the hopes of Earth with you. Your mission is clear. Reach our lost colony, warn them about the Empire's true nature, and bring them into our alliance. We won't fail, Mr. President, Olivia promised. As the Defiance's engines powered up, Olivia thought about the chain of events that had led to this moment. It had started with 4 simple words that had changed everything. You are not welcome here. Those words had stopped an empire. Those words had inspired other worlds to resist. And those words had set humanity on a path to the stars, not as conquerors or subjects, but as defenders of freedom across the galaxy. Take us out, Commander Cooper, Olivia ordered. The great ship moved gracefully away from Earth, accelerating toward the stars. Behind it, humanity watched with pride and hope. The first chapter in Earth's galactic story had been about survival and defiance. Now the second chapter would be about extending that same opportunity to others. As the Defiance disappeared into the depths of space, children on Earth looked up at the night sky with new dreams. They no longer saw just points of light. They saw destinations, possibilities, and a future where humans stood tall among the stars. And somewhere in that vast darkness, a human colony was about to discover they were not alone, that their long-lost homeworld had not only survived but had become a beacon of hope in a galaxy ruled by fear. The story of Earth's defiance was just beginning. End.